purpose of, you know, African Americans being freed. I mean, totally freed, supposedly, in this great United States of America. Sometimes I don't feel like we still free. I do know that Abraham Lincoln, when he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, you know what I'm talking about, in 1865, well, 1863, where we were all supposed to be free people from slavery. But it's a couple of states didn't want to see it that way. And they held on for 2 more years before. And then still was not going to free the slaves until a general took 2,000 soldiers into a place called Galveston, Texas, and forced them to free all of the slaves in the United States. And that's why I say sometimes, I mean, I love the United States of America. I think it's a great country, but we have to continue to strive, and we have to continue to understand that this is a great country. So I tell you, I want to get the radio portion started. And we just lock all into it. So Todd, let's do it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I tell you, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. We're going to talk about freedom from the psychological bondage as it relates to slavery, as it relates to a lot of other things. But most importantly, we're going to talk about a Juneteenth celebration. And I think it's so important that we talk about this because, I mean, it's still a lack of understanding on what that means. And I cannot start a show without having Dr. Michelle Cooley here with me. How you doing today, Doc?
I'm doing good. This is definitely going to be a great show every day. But, this is more of an understanding topic and an awareness, because a lot of people don't really understand what Juneteenth is really all about across the board. So we are going to have a really informed discussion and a lot of insight. So I'm really excited about the show.
I'm excited about it because we know we got this guest on, and we just love this guest. She's a recurring guest, and she got her own show as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that one later. But wherever you're watching this at, whether you are watching on E360 television, whether you're watching on over 25, 30 live streaming networks, whether you're listening to it on the radio, and if you want to be part of the conversation, radio 1-866-577-2473. Other platforms, just go to the comments and ask this great guest of ours that Michelle is getting ready to introduce any questions that you might have. Michelle, can you please introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and this absolutely magnificent guest of ours?
Most definitely. So the title of today's show is Freedom from Psychological Bondage, a Juneteenth celebration. And we're going to have a conversation with veteran television host, bestselling author, transformational speaker, and CEO, Stacey Bulluck. And we're going to talk about what exactly is psychological slavery and how freedom comes through breaking mind change and why slavery was able to continue after the first emancipation. So Stacey Bulluck is the founder of Power and Resilience Coaching Agency. She's the president and CEO of Order Steps Incorporated, a nonprofit serving homeless women and formerly incarcerated women veterans. She's a best-selling author, transformational speaker, certified John Maxwell Leadership Coach, a civil servant, and ordained evangelist. Stacey is an Army veteran, having served a little under 18 years when she was advanced to the rank of Staff Sergeant. She is a compassionate individual whose mission is to help others reach their full potential through their power of resilience. Thus, the reason she began coaching men and women ages 35 to 45. She is the international and national television host of Tools for Everyday Living, live on E360 TV. So please welcome back to the show, Stacey Bulluck.
Stacy, how are you doing? Welcome back to the show. I mean, even though you was on a week and a half ago, you're missed. We miss you anytime that you're not on.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. This is always, always, always one of the best moments in my life. Whenever I get to sit down and have a conversation with Dr. Cooley. So I'm just so excited about that.
Well, we always are excited to have you on because you bring so much wisdom and knowledge and understanding to the shows, and it's just it's a teaching moment every time that I get an opportunity to just sit back and chat with you, and I always take away so many great nuggets, and I'm sure that our viewers and our listeners they do the same. So. Stacey, I've been I've been following you on social media. You're doing so many things. I saw you the other day. You were doing spoken words and whoever were playing the music back in the background. It just all of these great things that you're doing, but all of these are required. And I think you did a spoken word on Juneteenth. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I was asked to do this piece at a Juneteenth celebration for last Saturday. I wound up doing it on Friday night at the spoken word event that I go to every first and third Friday, SWAM. If you're in the Los Angeles area, you must join us at the Barbara Morrison Performing Arts Center in Leimert Park. We have an awesome time. Last Friday, though, was just one of those exceptional days, and I was so thankful to be a part of it. So the poem, and I stated that I didn't even name it, and it's talking about emancipation, and it mentions things that have happened in the African American community, such as the police brutality or the brutality of another human on another human on a train for no, good reason, just to destroy and take away not just one life, but now we have more lives involved with family members. And how do we say that these are times when we are free? That absolutely does not represent moments of freedom. So I took the liberties to talk about these things in the poem and say to not just the African American community as my brothers and sisters, but my brothers and sisters, period, as a whole. I'm going to take my glasses off so I'm not reading this. Trust me, I'm not. So as a whole, sisters and brothers, it is time. It is time for us to remove this residue of hate. And the only way we are going to be able to remove this residue of hate is that we have to make the conscious decision to now pay way more attention to the God created purpose for us to be here. When we pay attention to that, it removes every negative stain that will begin to try to rear its head up again. And we may be able to make a dent in this thing that we call freedom.
Wow. You mentioned something, and you mentioned all brothers and sisters, regardless of black, white, pink, gold, and purple. We have to come together. But first of all, we have to understand that there will be some differences. And we have to understand what the differences are. And right now, this week, yesterday, we celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth For those that don't know what Juneteenth is Abraham Lincoln signed in 1863 the Emancipation Proclamation that supposedly freed all slaves. And supposedly had freed all slaves in the United States of America. However, there was a couple of states that was not going to have anything to do with that. So the law went into effect 3-4 months later. Lincoln was assassinated, and most of the states abide by that law. However, you had a couple of states that did not tell their slaves that they were free, and they held on and got 2 years of free labor from them. I didn't say 2 weeks or 2 days. I said 2 years. And it took an army of 2,000 soldiers and a couple of generals to actually march into the state of Texas, Galveston, Texas, and ordered that they free these slaves. Free the slaves. The slaves did not know that they was freed 2 years ago. Stacey, what are your thoughts on that?
First I want to say that I was researching and studying because that's what we do. We go down these rabbit holes and find this information. That was 4 million people that we're talking about, James. Excuse me, Dr. Cooley. That is an astronomical amount of human beings who, for whatever the reason, did not get the message. Why? I don't understand it either, other than the mindset of the people, first of all, who did not want to divulge the information, who were not going to follow a mandate, a rule of the government. And most of the time as Americans, we follow the rules of our government. You and I were soldier. Well, excuse me, not soldier. I was a soldier. We were military people. So we did what we were asked to do. And I can't get it in my mind for somebody to ask something or command something and it not be done. There were many reasons. There's profit. As you said, 2 years of free labor. That means I don't have to put any money out my pocket, but I'm still going to gain. So then we look at what the mindset does when we think about gains and profits, and greed falls in that category at some point, because now we have so many facets taking over the mind. Then we have 4 million people who have never been told that you were born free.
Hold that thought. We got to take a station break. Hold that thought. 4 million people that was not even told that they were born free. We should never been in that situation the first time. I tell you what, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, wherever you're watching it at, or just pick up the phone and dial 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break with Stacey Bulluck. It's your life.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming.
To know who you are. And once you know who you are,
You truly know who you are? Love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Are sold.
FM 96.1 North County
and AM 1170 San Diego. The Answer.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And you know what I'll tell you. You guys done got Stacy and I both excited. I mean, both excited in here because this great topic that need to be discussed. I'm not just talking about yesterday. This topic is going to be discussed all week. It should be discussed always because freedom. For us to be doing what we're doing, for us to be in the situations that we are in today, our ancestors, our forefathers had to do a lot of sweat, labor, pain. Some of them got killed along the way just to make sure that we are able, generations and generations to come, that we are free and that we are able to live without bondage. And many of us are still in bondage because we don't even know we're free. Because they didn't tell. I mean, when it was first, it was 2 years before the word, don't start me to preaching him, before the word really got out. 2 years. Mm-hmm. And Stacy, you had mentioned something about it was 4 million people that did not know that they was free. Can you pick up on that again?
Well, I want to say that because of the large number of people, it shows the psychological abuse that had become the norm. And unfortunately, as you mentioned a few seconds ago, it's alive and kicking today. This fear that wants to be instilled in people, that's a way of controlling the mind because the mind, when things come to our minds, then we begin to act out what's in our mind. And if I can control that, then you're not going to even listen to what's being told to you. Because as we know that even when June 19th happened and the soldiers showed up at Galveston, Texas, they made the call, but people still stayed. Still, and then I almost fell out in my seat when the weight of what I just thought just hit me. Some even signed a contract to stay on and work the land for a wage, but I'm almost 100% certain I would put a few dollars on it if I were a gambling woman, that you weren't getting paid the wages that you were due. So, especially because it was back due, because you've been working for 2 years for free. When now all of a sudden you come to the realization that, oh, well, I really don't have anywhere else to go. Not even to think that maybe there is somewhere for me to go. Maybe there is something else for me to accomplish. Maybe there's more to me than working on this field. And that mindset roams around on the earth today, every day, saying to people, are you even aware of the goodness, the greatness that you you have innate in you? Are you even aware of it? Is it just because nobody told you, or now you just don't have the capacity to hear because of all of the other noise that now has to be destroyed? The bondage part. Take those chains off.
Yes, most definitely. You know, Stacey, when you were talking, this thing came in my mind, Stockholm syndrome. And for people who don't know what that is, it's that when you, I just give an example of someone, you kidnaps you, and they've held you for, a certain amount of time, could be months, could be years, and the door is wide open for you to leave and be free, but your mind has been so warped, so you form an unhealthy attachment to your situation and to your captor, that you don't know life outside that, or you're afraid. So I thought of Stockholm syndrome, but you're going to talk about psychological slavery. I just want to put that in. What are your thoughts on the whole Stockholm syndrome
you know
thing?
what? We must have some wavelengths going through, because right before the show, I actually pulled that up. Stockholm syndrome, because it hit. I was walking towards the computer and it hit me. Stockholm syndrome. You just begin to, you must see your captor in a different light with different eyes, because yep, I gotta take my glasses off. Because now that we have this different vision of this individual, they become what we believe is necessary for us to continue to live. Basically just surviving. I won't even say existing, survive in whatever situation or circumstance that it is. And unfortunately, we get so complacent with that. We get complacent with making things okay. I have a book called Don't Let Your Brain Go Numb, and there's a chapter in there that says stop normalizing things that are not normal. Stop normalizing fear. Stop normalizing your inability to go from one city to another. I have met people here in California that live in Compton. They won't come outside of Compton for whatever the reason. I'm like, this is a wonderful state. Have you seen it? There's so many things for you to come out and learn. But because of that, I feel like I don't have anywhere to go. I can't expand even within myself.
Wow. You mentioned something in going back to the slaves. And I thought about this one earlier as well before the show. When the slaves was free, when the army, you're right. The people did not want to go anywhere. They were so encaptured with that that they said, this is the only life I know. This is the only life I want to live. Master, can I stay here?
Mm-hmm.
And Master said, well, I'm gonna have to pay you now. And you're right. I don't know what those wages might have been, but he should have gave them back pay for all of that time, and should have gave them other compensations.
Mm-hmm.
But Stacey, even with what does Juneteenth mean to you? What does it mean to Stacey?
When I started to think about it, I really want it to resonate from me, I'll say, the real freedom, the real ability to be who you are. Because, during those times, there were reasons why they didn't want the slaves singing and dancing and doing the things that felt natural to them. First of all, most people sometimes we African Americans, we don't understand some of the things that Indians may do, Native Americans may do. But that doesn't mean that because we don't understand it, that it should be stopped. It should be stifled. And when you begin to stifle a human being, then they're not free. And so that's what it means to me. Don't allow you to be stifled. If I did that, I would definitely not be sitting here talking to you. Because, as we talk about it, the generational curses and generational bondages that just keep going from child to child, being told, as an African American, it's good for you to be this. For a long time it was told it's good for you to be a cook. It's good for you to be a janitor, with no more expectation than that. So Juneteenth to me means that people get the opportunity to be the person who they are. And I don't have the right to dictate who you are. Even though when they did the 13th Amendment that activated the soldiers going into Galveston, it still was a time where people probably would say, as we just talked about, I don't want to go anywhere. I can't go anywhere. The mindset says I can't do it. I'm not free enough to do it.
Not free. Hold that thought. We got to take a station break, but the mindset, and that's the biggest thing, because if you don't allow your minds to grow, and if you're in the same mindset that landed you in a situation, circumstance, and they say you can go, and you say no, we got a problem. So if you want to be part of this great conversation with Stacey Bulluck, all you do is pick up the phone, 1-866-577-2473, or whichever platform you're watching on, or go to the comments. Ask this young lady any question you like. And I promise you, we'll get your answer. Yes, your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley with my absolutely fantastic, magnificent guest who's been on the show. I think this is about 8th, 9th, 10th time. Well, you know what? We're going to keep adding. So, and I'll tell you what. She has a absolutely magnificent show that comes on every Friday, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's called Tools for Everyday Living. Stacey, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Of course. Thank you for the opportunity. So Tools for Everyday Living is almost exactly what it says. We need tools for our human toolbox for every day to live, to navigate through this thing we call life. We need to understand why discipline, why consistency, why confidence, why compassion. Why do we need these things in our lives every single day? And Tools for Everyday Living will provide you with some resources and some understanding and some new information as to how we can implement these things in our life and make life a little bit more easy.
On what time it come on again, Stacey?
4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tools for Everyday Living. You can find it on my YouTube channel at Tools for Everyday Living, or you can watch it on E360 TV. Just like you found Dr. James Cooley today on E360 TV, you can find me the same way.
Every Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Stacey, I want to get back to this. I want to get back to why you wrote the title, or why you came up with this title, and what does this title, Freedom from Psychological Bondage, what does that mean to you?
Whew. When you said it, I felt the freedom that I was able to now use every day in my life to unravel and unlock those things that God has gifted me with, and be happy with them, be okay with it, be okay with being a writer, be okay with being a poet, be okay with now designing clothes and writing music, be okay with those things, be confident and trust in myself to do it. Oh my goodness, that the constraints that I had in my own mind of what I couldn't do is, when I think about it and I remember the days, I don't remember dreaming as a child. When I see your commercial talking about dream big and think big, and I'm like, were those things around when I was coming up? I'm sure that they probably were. I just wasn't exposed to it. And why wasn't I exposed to it? I really can't tell you, but I can probably point out that somewhere in what we're talking about right now, that psychological slavery, that bondage, that you're put in a category that you're supposed to be here and nowhere else. And it's indicative in jobs where people go in and they say, well, when we walk in, the person that we see with maybe a little darker skin, they must be the secretary. But sometimes it can turn out that may be the owner. And we have to eradicate that mindset. But the bondage of not allowing people to be who they are, not allowing to if somebody wants to be a scientist, but maybe they don't look like a scientist to you. Well, first of all, it's not our job to make the decision of what it looks like to be anything. But when your mind is in a bag or a box, I'll say it. I was getting ready to say trick bag. When your mind is in this small compartment, it puts everything else in a small compartment, even the people around them. And that's why we're here today. We're here to help people understand that we need to remove those small boxes and stop putting people inside of that. Stop putting yourself inside of it and saying what you can't do. As long as you say it, that's as long as it's going to be that way.
So you mentioned, and my motto is always dream big, because if you dream small, you dream tiny, you're gonna, I mean, most of the time you're gonna deliver that. If you dream big, big, think big. People are always gonna tell you can't do it, and that's the way it works. Most of the time they tell you that you can't do it because they can't do it, and they don't even want to think about it, and they don't. Nobody want to be by themselves, right? They can't do it, so you can't do it either. You can't leave me here. You better not be dreaming like that. You better not be thinking like that. You know, you got to stay here with me. You know,
that's that crab in the barrel syndrome. Let me pull you back down here with me.
Oh yeah,
because Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, the crab in the barrel, the crab in the barrel syndrome, and it's always because it's like, okay, you can't let you get out of here. Oh, you're almost at the top. Reach down. I can remember that I was in that crab bucket, and every time I got pulled back down. The next time I got an opportunity to get up there, I was at the top. I knew those claws was gonna be coming. I started wiggling my leg, moving it all over the place, and fell over on the other side. You get out that bucket, you don't know you ain't getting back in that bucket, and that's what life is about. You have to know that you can. You have to know you can. And our forefathers went through all of these things, Stacy. Slavery, everything that led it up to us being today. And so we celebrate Juneteenth when it should not have been a Juneteenth, because when the slaves were free, everybody should have been freed at that time. And so I'm so thankful and grateful for many of the politicians, especially President Biden, signing this into law 2 years ago. And you know, I don't know if you saw any other celebrations. Yeah, but you were teaching last night at celebrations last night. But this just felt good. You know, so Stacy, you talk about this thing called psychological slavery. I kind of know what you're going with that one, but can you get our listeners and our viewers a little bit more, let's feed them a little bit more so they know what that is.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we think about it psychologically, it has to do with our mind and slavery. So what is your mind enslaved to? Is it enslaved to a person, a thing, a way of life? Or is it enslaved to the freedom that we're celebrating on Juneteenth? That's what it's supposed to be. Are we enslaved to the thoughts that we can produce? Or do we still live in a place of fear where we won't move outside of city? You know, I won't move into a specific neighborhood because somebody told me that I shouldn't because of I don't fit in over here. That actually happened to me in California, unfortunately. And house, I really like the house. And I was told, well, maybe you might not want to move over there because there's already a whole group of people over there that may not accept you. And I thought, wow. And they were saying it because of my safety. But, you know, in freedom, we have wisdom as well. And I'm thankful for where I am. I'm actually behind some gates. And no, I'm not in jail. But, you know, the mind of how do I control somebody psychologically? and we call it manipulation, coercion, witchcraft. These things are encompassed in controlling another human being's mind. First of all, you signed into law, not you per se or anyone listening, but someone signed into law, another human being signed into law that a human being can be kept as a slave. It's legal for you to do this. What type of mentality would produce that? I can say many things, now that we're further along in this psychology realm, somebody might say, oh, I don't see any letters behind her name or anything like that. But my letters came behind my name when I had to endure the bondage of psychological slavery, I'll call it, even though it was modern day. But I did not move to my own beat as I do now. Now I consistently talk about living out the choreographed life that God has created for me. And so that's what happens. People are not allowed to live out their God-given purpose. And I'll stop there because I can go on and on about that because I lived it for way too long. But now that I'm free.
Many times people are allowed, Stacy, but they don't want to because it's too hard. And they don't even want to know what that is. And also, you mentioned about all of the adages that keep us in bondage, and we stay there because laws are created to not teach and educate in our schools, especially now. We cannot teach about nothing but the good stuff. We cannot teach about slavery. We cannot teach about colonization. We cannot do that. That is so wrong because we're going to take a station break. I already know that. But if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. So we're going to take a station break. We're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. And we're going to talk some more about this. If you want to be part of the conversation, go to the comments and ask any question you'd like to. And we'll get you an answer or pick up the phone, 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
strive for greatness and overcome.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, just really enjoying this great discussion with Stacy. Always. So Stacy, we're talking about a topic that most people don't want to talk about, especially they don't want to teach this in school or anything because I don't understand why. A lot of these states, the governors do not want the kids to know anything about other cultures other than what they're in. And they don't want to teach the history because they don't think it's important, to be taught, but that's just how that is. I want to put a plug in for my book that's out, A Black Man Point of View. A lot of things that we're talking about today is discussed in here. This roadmap on some of the problems and issues that we might have had, and also how you go about solving some of these issues and problems. And so A Black Man Point of View is on sale at probably every place where books are sold, but you can get it on Kindle, Amazon, you can get it on Barnes and Noble, you can get it anywhere. But just it gives you some insight on a lot of things that we're discussing today and a roadmap on how we can fix some of these things. So, Stacey, I want to get back to a lot of Black history. History is not taught in a lot of the schools now. It's being stripped from the curriculums. Why do you think that? And do you believe that's a part of psychological slavery behavior?
I actually am a proponent for us taught us to teach us. When segregation happened, I really don't think it was a good thing. I'm adding this in and I'm coming around to your point. And because when people, just like you said, when people who make the decisions of what should be taught in school systems, are only going to want to be taught what their experiences have exposed them to. Everybody's experiences in different cultural lands are different. So we have to always take that into account. And I want to bring up when I was studying, and I have studied this for a long time now, had a few books now for over 30 years. And one of them is called Know Thyself. And it really, really, really hit home when it talked about the definition of education. Merriam-Webster says that it should be imparting knowledge or skills to another. Well, where are you going to get that knowledge from? So for them to want to take a book out of the school system is probably because they can't teach it. Because they don't have that experience to teach from. I think it would be watered down when it is taught. And I'm not saying, we shouldn't talk about it. We shouldn't have it in schools. But I think the school system as a whole should be revamped because of what I was studying. The word education and where it comes from is a Latin word, meaning educare. And that means that we are to bring forth or bring up. So if we are looking at it from Merriam-Webster's standpoint, and Merriam says that it should be imparting. Well, what are you imparting? Do you know what is in there that you need to impart something to strengthen that? Or are you just going to go from your standpoint, your experiences, your viewpoint, and even when teaching about Black history, you're going to go from your standpoint that this is maybe to them not even something that happened. So where is the passion going to come from that is absolutely needed in every lesson that is instructed? And you mentioned earlier that I was teaching yesterday. I was teaching a group of people. My title of my lesson is "What is Service?" And it's actually part of my workforce development training. But what is service? How are you going to teach somebody about service when you're not even a servant? You don't know what it means to serve from your heart. So how can I teach about Black history when the face that's teaching it is probably not Black? Not to say that they can't. However, we need to have our people. In my poem, I said, it is time to take your rightful place. It is time for us to stand up in our royal splendor and begin to educate. When we educate, we should be bringing up the gifts and the talents and helping those that we're teaching to be skilled in their area of purpose.
And you mentioned purpose, and everything that you are talking about is on point. One of the things that I believe that we all, as Black people, I believe, in order for us to truly know where we came from, many of us need to go back to the motherland. I'm not saying go back there and stay or nothing like that, but go back to the motherland, visit, and actually figure out what type of tribe or whatever that we came from, just to get an understanding and just to be able to visualize what it was like with our ancestors when they were plucked from their lands and put on these ships and sent to these nations. We need to know and see some of these things so that we are able to grasp the magnitude of being free. So we're able to grasp the magnitude of how slavery were and what it took for us to be able to do the things that we are doing today. We got less than 2 minutes of the show. Stacey, what are your thoughts on that?
I just want to say this last thing. In part of my poem, I said, we built pyramids on ingenuity and innovation. No equipment.
No equipment, just on our backs and the resources, the straw, the bricks, to make bricks and do all of these things that was given to us. And, you know, I'm just so thankful that our forefathers and the people that came before us had in their heart that they wanted our lives to be better. They wanted us to be free. They wanted us to be able to pass the knowledge of their hard work to our kids and our kids and generations to come. 30 seconds or less of the parting word, a message from you, and tell people how they can get in touch with you.
James, my parting word is coming from your book. It says, I believe in birthrights. Birthrights are confidence, courage, hope, belief, and most importantly, faith. And no, I'm not just reading from your book just to promote your book, because I believe you're phenomenal. I am saying it because we have a birthright and we need to know what it is and be able to execute it freely. You can find me at Stacey, Stacey, _ Bullock, BULLUCK, or at Power in Resilience.
You know, it's always a pleasure, Stacey, having you on. I want to thank you again, and I'm about to get you back on again real soon. You already know that. We're going to have about 200 of these before it's all said and done. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank Todd, KCBQ, for always doing a great show. And most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Always dream big, think big, and be big in everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your life.
Thanks for joining us for the James Cooley Show. It's your life. To learn more about Dr. James Cooley and how you can support the show or become a guest, visit CooleyFoundation.org. Join